Hello everyone, Reverend Michael here. I wanted to update you all on what's been going on and why the much promised launch of my Towards a Grown Up God video series still hasn't happened yet. If you're my friends, you know some of it, but I thought I'd clue everyone else in too. Late last year around Christmas, I developed a rash on this side of my body, and at first I thought it was shingles. It looked and felt like everything I read about it. But since this was still in the midst of the pandemic and vaccines weren't readily available yet, I thought I'd ride it out and treat it with suggested things like oatmeal baths and stuff like that. Unfortunately, the rash spread to my entire body. Basically, from my neck to knees was covered with a red, itchy rash. And to make matters worse, my skin dried out and fell off in dusty powder. Ruling out shingles, I thought then that it was an allergic reaction to the laundry detergent I had used around that time, which wasn't my normal brand. I rewashed everything, and I even switched to baby shampoo and gentle everything else that might come in contact with my skin. And I continued to try to treat this on my own, thinking it was something that would go away eventually, since I switched to everything I was using. I kept trying everything I could think of to control it on my own, and until I finally got my first COVID vaccine shot the first week of March, and I couldn't take it anymore. I went to see my doctor. He took a blood test which showed that my body was fighting a massive allergy to something, so he put me on steroids, injections, pills, and a cream to rub on my body. The steroids would seem to be controlling whatever was causing this, but just as I tapered off them, it would come back. So he tried higher doses of steroids and stronger creams. I saw him every other week for 2 months. Same thing. It would seem to go away, and as the steroid dose was tapered off, it came back worse. And it seemed the second vaccine injection kicked it into higher gear. So my doc sent me to a dermatologist who was concerned that I may have had a blood cancer called mycosis fungoides, or MF, and he took a couple of biopsies. I actually thought he said MS when he took the biopsies, so I spent the week panicking about that, which was actually probably better than panicking about the C word. But the biopsies came back negative and also didn't show any allergic reaction to anything either. I wonder if the initial blood test was reading an allergic reaction to the COVID vaccine, which is exactly what it is supposed to do, trigger a sort of allergic reaction in your body to kick your natural immune system into high gear to fight off whatever the vaccine is for. But that's neither here nor there now. So the dermatologist put me on even higher doses of steroids and stronger cream. And the same thing happened. I came back in 2 weeks and it was still there. So he put me on an even stronger and longer course of steroids, this time for 3 weeks, and it still didn't go away. He finally concluded that what I have is adult onset eczema with no known trigger. And I've just recently started injections of Dupixent, which is supposed to be the wonder drug for this sort of thing. We'll see. But that's why I've been quiet these few months. I've spent the last 6 months with a constant full body itching that is under my skin, and no amount of scratching helps. Not to mention the various side effects to all the steroids I've been on for 4 months. And my body is nearly constantly covered in some form of greasy medication or another. If you watched my series on the metaphysics of Easter, you may have noticed how lethargic I was in the first video, and how I seemed to perk up after that. That was one of the weeks where the higher steroid doses kicked in, and I started to feel a bit better. But still, trying to put on a video series every day for a week took its toll on me. And it was also why I ran at least a day behind on the entire series. So I'm hoping and I'm praying that the Dupixent gets rid of this once and for all. Even though I've only had the first doses, it seems to be helping somewhat. This arm was one of the main areas of the rash, and it's faded a lot, though it's still prominent on my chest and my stomach. And the only place that is extremely itchy is my back. I'm hoping I can resume the work on getting these videos put together. It's been a constant battle to feel well enough to focus, and I haven't felt like pointing the camera at myself lately, especially covered in grease. But I haven't been totally idle on Grown Up God. I've sat in on some fascinating presentations put on by the Institute of Noetic Science and astronaut Ron Garan, which further reinforce the ideas I'll be presenting. I've also been reading some cool books on consciousness, our oneness with the planet and the universe, and even the importance of Jesus and Islam, and a wonderful book on the interrelatedness of the Old and New Testament with the Quran, which not only will have an impact on how I present scriptures in a video, but in my ministry as well. I've also been making some technical improvements in how I'll be recording these videos. Rather than recording it on my DSLR to a card with its technical limitations and clip length, and then having to edit everything together, I can record directly to my laptop from that camera. The same software will also allow me to stream live on occasion, even with presenters all around the world. In fact, I'm looking at doing a live interfaith Christmas Eve stream with my minister pal Keith in England, as well as an imam in California, and hopefully a rabbi in Jerusalem. Another benefit of the software is that I can add nifty graphics like this one, and much, much more. That's it. I ask for your patience and your prayers as I go through this next treatment, and that hopefully I'll be able to share with you this wonderful concept that I've been working on in one way or another on my own spiritual journey and my ministry for 20 years or more. Finally bringing all these separate ideas and threads together into what I think is a powerful and empowering message for everyone. So stay tuned.